Bibliofools.
Welcome to Bibliofools, everyone. As a quick reminder of how this works, this is a podcast. That's what you're listening to, where we read books so you don't have to, because you're busy and maybe lazy. Let's be honest, you're lazy. And subscribe to 12 different streaming services. You don't have time for books. We're here today diving into a book that it may be divisive within this trio here, to be honest, but let's jump in. Today's book is The Golden Spruce. Kyle, break it down for us.
I found out there was an author who wrote a book called The Tiger about a man hunting a tiger that had killed people. I found out this same author who had wrote this book, his first book was about a very particular tree. So I thought, it's got to be a winning combination. So that's how I came about this book. An author of a book I'd never read before. I wanted to read his first book, and that's what we're talking about, The Golden Spruce.
And it's a book.
It certainly was. Pages bound together. We're gonna
There's
get
pages bound, written.
If you're a tree nerd, though, this is your book. If you're like horny for trees, this is a good one. This is your 50 Shades of Grey.
This is a 50 Shades of Grey level.
I want to say I'm horny for trees, and if you are, that's okay. I'm not. Trees do something else to me. Not
what do they do to you? What do they do to you, Kyle?
I'm fascinated by them. I love them. I have two tattoos of trees. I just like trees. I love the symbolism behind them. I love everything about trees. I'm not horny for them though, but I like them.
You keep saying that.
I should probably stop saying it because it sounds like I'm really trying to push off.
The lady doth protest.
No. But that's how I came about this. I thought, awesome, a book about trees. And then as I started reading, I thought these guys might hate this book. So I'm curious to hear what you see, and we can just dive right in. But before we do that, I'm curious what your first impressions are about this book. It's a book about a very particular tree in a very particular location, and a man who is having a hard time, and how it all comes together.
I would argue that this is just a book about a tree, and a man cameos in it. Like Alec Baldwin at the beginning of what is that? Glenn Ross. He comes in. You're really like, whoa, who's this guy? And then he literally disappears, and it's that's my main takeaway right now.
It's like Alec Baldwin. So I did skip the tagline. This is a story, the true story of myth, madness, and greed. And the author is John Vaillant. My impression of the book was, I feel worse, like, to be a white man. I think that was the main takeaway, is just like, the white people in this story just are the bad guys at every turn. So, there's like a lot of Native American history, and then a lot of logging history, and then like one particular crazy person, white guy, that commits heinous crimes. So, I think I spent the whole time oscillating between fascinated and like intrigued by the trees and the history, and just being like, oh man, I wish we hadn't done all those things. So
yeah, it is. It's the perfect example of like just history, especially in America, where it's like there's this really cool thing, and there's all this shit. Oh, and there's a white guy, and he's taking it down. Okay, I don't know why.
So let's understand why. But before we do that, I want to, the author, he starts telling us about the land itself, and we're on the Northwest coast. We're not talking Washington or Portland, where Evan and I lived for 2 years on LDS missions. We're talking.
You can't tell them that. Let's stay with trees for now.
Okay. Let's stick with trees.
Yeah.
Massive development, though. I just want to make sure.
Massive development.
Yeah.
So far north, we're just below Alaska, off the coast of Canada, in one of the world's only temperate rainforests, where it just rains all the time. And this is the series of islands 60 miles off the coast of Canada called the Haida Gwaii, and that's also the name of the native people. And there, it's an environment that supports more living tissue weight than any other ecosystem on the planet. I found that fascinating.
Including your mom's house. So. Sorry,
Come
we
on,
can.
man.
Sorry.
Well, to be
Your
fair,
mom's
Kyle,
love it.
your mom has a lot of children, and you guys are big.
So it's a very unique environment, and this environment is so unique that in allows for like massive trees, like some of the biggest trees on Earth to grow, and I love that. I just love a big tree. It's fascinating to me. And here in this location, against all odds, a tiny Sitka spruce seed. That's what the tree is. It's a Sitka spruce, the size of like a grain of sand. Small seed grows 16 stories high, 7 feet in diameter, massive freaking tree. And what's unique about this tree is while most spruces are green, obviously, if you don't know that, read a book, dumbass. This one is yellow and gold, and so it's a genetic anomaly. It produces gold needles. It stands out, and the natives call it Kid Kias, and the world would know this unique tree as the golden spruce.
Worst name. That was first right off the bat. I was like, why is this book not called Key to Chaos?
To honor the native people and their name for it.
Like the white name is boring, or the anglicized name is boring. I feel like it's cooler. Yeah,
It's a
go.
little like on the. It's like descriptive. It tells you what it is. It's a spruce and it's gold. So I saw the picture on the back, and I
Hmm.
was like, well, it's a yellow, giant conifer, right? And
Yep.
I was wondering, what's the probability that happens? This is like the only one ever, right? This is
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
once in a like bajillion years kind of a thing, right?
Yeah. This isn't like, oh, every once in a while this happened. This is the only time it's ever freaking happened. So it's a big deal. And so the tree's been around a while, and so now let's dive into getting to know the Haida Gwaii, which are the native people who have lived here. Way back in the day, they were expert naval navigators. They had these massive canoes that they would build out of these massive trees, and they would go island to island taking slaves. Wonderful people, but they loved their slaves. Like at one point, a majority of their population was slaves. Um,
That's see when you say wonderful people.
I,
I
I
think there's the thing that stops you from being a wonderful person.
Yeah, slavery is a pretty hard line.
Like as a people, if it's like, oh, we're like they're so cool, they have some slaves, but they're so cool.
It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
that was This story has no hero in my mind. Like even the people that you're like, oh, the native people. Like, oh, this is so crazy. I hate colonialism, and then it's like, oh no.
Yeah, they
it
were they
was
were they
bad.
were they were pretty violent group of people. And that's okay. That's okay.
No, it's not.
Nobody's perfect. But what's interesting is once when the first European settlers came, they came looking for otters because I guess at the time the Chinese would pay a ton for otters. So white people show up at their shore, and the white people are very violent and racist. And then you meet this other culture which is also very violent and racist, and they trade for a bit, but then it becomes a little too dangerous. They kill most of the otters, and so what do people stay for? Is they stay for the timber. They stay for these massive trees, and it's important to note because for us, we see trees and we're like, cool, we're fascinated by them. We don't need them like people needed them 150 years ago. Like trees were their
Mhm.
fuel. They were everything. We can't underplay how important trees were to everyday life.
Yes, one note that I thought was fascinating is everything Kyle just said is pre Lewis and Clark. So, Lewis
Yeah.
and Clark leave civilization, go into the vast wilderness and the romantic wilderness exploration journey. And if they'd have just kept going, then eventually they hit like people beheading each other and enslaving each other and cutting down lots of trees and killing lots of otters. It's just like it's a bummer of an epilogue to the Lewis and Clark thing, but that I just didn't realize. Like we were already over on the other side doing
Yeah.
all kinds of shit while that was happening. Anyways,
Yeah.
No, I love that. Americans, I like to think we're like, no, Lewis and Clark were the first. It's like, no, they were
They
not.
weren't.
That's not how it
They just
works.
had good PR.
That's a
It's
very good
the
point.
it's the thing that is just killing me every time we read one of these books. Because so far we've read a bunch of books about topics that I don't really know anything about, other than maybe the alien one, and I don't know any of that shit either. And every time we read a book, especially like one of these ones about history and stuff, I'm just like, oh, there's just it's all PR. Just you only ever hear about what's released and what is made super popular. Like Lewis and Clark, they're nobodies. Like they
Well,
They
I
just
wouldn't go that
I'm
far,
gonna
but
call them
not
nobodies.
nobodies, but it's like the ladies going up into space recently.
I cannot tell you the amount of money I would pay to not have to go to space with Katy Perry. But that's just me.
Or just anybody who can sing. I don't want
I
to go
like
up to
yeah.
space with a singer.
No, like the worst thing would be trapped in space with a musical theater kid. That is like
Oh my
hell.
god.
Can you imagine?
Can we make an alien movie, but the alien is just a musical theater kid?
That should be the Black Mirror episode.
That is a true horror film.
why is there not an alien musical?
It's
need
tough
a
to make, you know?
I need a Broadway xenomorph, dude.
Writing it
Okay,
down.
we're back in the Haida Gwaii. It's early 1900s, and a lot of these trees actually had not been logged for a long time because of the remote location. Where Europe knocked out all of their trees really early on. Americans came to the continent that they claimed as their own. They knocked out a lot of trees, but these trees stayed pretty solid for a while, and that's what helped enable the golden spruce to grow as well as it did. But that all changed in the 1900s as people became more familiar with logging, and logging became like the thing in Canada and in some of these places. Like that's how you make money, especially if you're not the brightest guy, but you are physically capable. You go out, you make a ton of money logging. The problem with that is that logging, and I looked this up, is still the most dangerous profession anyone can have.
Really? See, I wasn't sure. Because I just think about oil rig workers and I'm like, isn't
Seriously,
that crazy dangerous? So it's worse than that.
that's what it says. I mean, Evan, if you did any research, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Let's
AI
go to
told
our
me otherwise.
resident smart
I'm just
guy.
gonna assume you're right about this. Also, yeah, trees are giant,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, saying also a lot. The author did explain like a lot of ways trees can kill you, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
seems like hard to not die cutting down a giant tree.
Yeah, and if you you're lucky if you die because there was that one guy he talks about who got
Oh,
impaled through his rectum,
Oh, yeah.
and was just stuck. He was floating, impaled by his rectum. His buddy wasn't there to help him, so he had to use his chainsaw to cut it down. Like this happens a lot.
and to set the stage, unless we're coming back to this one, he had been hacking through small trees with his chainsaw like a machete, and then got cut down a giant tree, got up on the stump to like finish some things off. It had been raining. He slips off of the stump back onto one of the smaller trees that he had cut down. That part got me. I had to take a beat at
that
that
was
part.
that was gross. And
Yeah.
so this
Just
guy,
gross.
but the
It's
crazy thing is,
disgusting.
this guy, he somehow saves himself. He chops himself down, and then he's back logging like 3 months later. And that's
Well,
just kind of how tough some of these guys were.
That's
he
the
is
thing.
back logging, but after dragging himself out of the forest with the tree still like in there, like way
Yeah.
in there. And he got back and the loggers immediately started calling him Fudgesicle. Nobody was worried. They were like, "Ha, you might
Look
be
at you.
dying, but we're not going to miss this opportunity, you asshole." Anyway,
It's sections like this in any book that we read where I just realize how much of a big old bitch I am. I let me tell you a quick little story. I stubbed my toe 2 weeks ago, and I still limp just a little bit. If I'm off my foot for too long, when I get up, I'm like, ooh, ow.
Yeah, this no, we're these loggers were a completely different breed, and it was just it was so dangerous, and a problem that a lot of them had, and a lot of these big logging companies they would recruit kind of unstable guys who were alcoholics and who loved their drugs because those were the only people crazy enough to go down and cut down these massive trees. And so this is where we are now. We're 19, I don't know, 50s, 60s, and enter the picture for the first time a man named Grant Hadwin. Hadwin is the son of a prominent engineer and the nephew of a famous high rigger. We're just going to go on a small tangent. A high rigger is the guy that they send first. They see these massive trees, they send him. He Mulans his way up the tree with a cord, literally like Mulan does, gets to the top of the tree to a point, cuts it down, and then on that flat area, he stands on top of that and takes a piss, usually to signal victory. These guys should be dead every time they do this job. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane.
Mm-hmm. It's dumb. I was just like, why? Things that you don't know, and then you learn about it, and you're just like, that why do we do that? It's this whole book. I just kept kind of getting blown away. But I just for some reason I was like, either this is the most genius thing I've ever like learned about, or it's really stupid. Like I'm just why? Because it just seems like a dumb way to do this. You know what I mean? Like just who? Why?
That's a
Money,
good
dude.
question.
Money.
Money,
They had to build
money.
those ships. They had to like get the masts. I just like it is a testament to me. Reading about the high riggers, I was like, man, if you can make money, people do the craziest shit.
Just
Because those
anything.
high, they like would get up there, buckle themselves in, and then like any number of things can go wrong. It can come
Yeah.
back on you. You can like release some weird pressure inside the tree, and it just like explodes out into you. And then the other thing is like once you cut it down and the top falls off, the whole
The
tree
whole tree moves
is like swinging
It's
around
yeah.
with you on top of it. I'm like, man, money. We just love money so much.
so much.
Yeah, so Grant Hadwin, his dad, like I said, an engineer. His uncle is the guy who does this crazy high rigging thing, and he's like a legend in the logging community. And while Grant Hadwin's dad wants him to be an engineer, use his brain, he's like, no, I want to go the way of my uncle. I want to be a
Idiot.
logger, and he embraces the logging culture, and he starts making money pretty early on, and he's like, this guy is like a physical specimen. He's like, he freaking looks like, what's the guy who has the salad dressing?
Paul
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 Newman.
Newman.
Newman?
Paul Newman. He's kind of got like a
That's who
Paul
you
Newman.
pictured.
He
I
kind of
don't know
does
why.
look like Paul Newman.
He's got like a Paul Newman physique, like one of those old tough guy things, and so he's really good at logging. And he jumps into it. After high school, he moves to Goldbridge, Canada, and continues being a logger, probably making just really good money. And while in Golden Bridge as a young adult, he is known for these inhuman feats of strength and endurance. He goes off on the woods by himself for like days on end with little to nothing and just survives. And then when he's back around, he's just he's drinking so much alcohol. He's always got tobacco in his mouth, like irresponsible amounts of alcohol and tobacco. And he's also having literal dick measuring contests at the local bar with people to prove whose dick is bigger. This is the kind of lifestyle this guy's living.
Pretty sure he always won those, by the way. If you're the one initiating the dick measuring contest,
See, I think that's the guy that loses. I think he thinks he's got a huge log, and he's so drunk he just tells people like, I won. And
he's like,
everybody's
oh
like,
man, it was
okay,
bigger
buddy.
last time, I swear.
See, and this is where me and the book started having some troubles. It just kind of it tells this really cool story about him, and you're like, ooh, okay, I can't wait to get to know this guy. And then
Yeah,
you don't really get to know him really at all.
not as much as you would think. We were introduced to this fascinating guy, and who's going on like these crazy adventures, like this legendary human being who's doing these crazy things. And he tells us all these things, and then he's like, and eventually, Hadwin. I'm gonna call him Hadwin because I hate the name Grant, with a passion. Because
Ooh.
when I met my wife, she was we were both on missions, and she was writing a guy named Grant, and that made me so mad. And here's a petty story. I hope we edit. Where I was living in Tigard, Oregon, at the time, I got to know my wife. I knew she was writing this guy, and there was a street called Grant Street, and every time we drove by it, I was spit,
Nice.
because I'm petty as hell. But it
Yeah,
worked
let's
out.
cut that one. That's
Yeah,
petty. It's petty as
that
hell.
is petty. Anyway, so Hadwin, he ends up marrying a good Christian girl, and he settles down and he kind of slows down his life. He builds a house and he has a few kids, and he's just kind of living a really good life as a logger. But he's also very aware of this internal conflict that a lot of these loggers have, which is, I'm destroying this thing that I love. A lot of them are loggers because they love being in the forest, but at the same time they're completely destroying it. And so he's had this building in him since he was a kid. He was aware of the destruction this was causing, and it's just kind of building up in him.
That part I did. I feel bad for it, but it's an interesting thing. It's the same problem that happens with some of these books, is that you'll get presented something really interesting, and they have like a hook. So it's like, oh, he's the biggest, most bad mother effer of all time, and and it's like, oh, and he feels really bad about like this guilt of destroying these beautiful things. Anyways, and it just kind of it moved on, and I thought that, I mean, maybe we're just woo woo over here. I don't know what you guys thought, but I kind of wanted to see, like, I wanted to hear more about that internal kind of like struggle and like how many of these guys have it, like, because it said it was big, but I just didn't feel like it was specific enough for me. For me,
I agree.
I got it. I got it. Wow, that was crazy. Did you hear what happened to my voice there? It was insane. I think it was
Sounded
the soda I've been drinking, which is a good segue to the sponsor of today's video, which is Celsius. I've kind of, it's like more of a big boy drink than Poppy, and Poppy never called us. So,
oh
still
wait, so we're just bailing on Poppy so
yeah, I
fast?
mean, we haven't published the episode where we like
endorse
invited them
them.
to call us, but I kind of feel like if I'd have been manifesting it, if it was right, it would have happened. So,
I
But
don't
we
want
haven't
to.
posted it.
yesterday.
Yeah, I don't want to give up on Poppy just yet, but we can
Yeah,
embrace Celsius for this episode. A big boy drink for a big boy.
Got
No,
distracted here with the the sponsorship plug here, but I got it. I got it. What he was
yeah.
saying, because he talks about like just the weight of carrying the fact that you're making money and you're doing what the logging company says you need to do, but the trees are dying. I feel like, okay, this may be going to like a dark corner, but I feel a really similar thing about like AI. Like, it's
Hmm.
progressing extremely fast, and it's like getting into more and more stuff, and I think it's like very cool. It opens up a lot of possibilities, but it also threatens to destroy a lot of things that like matter, you know what I mean? Like, I think the striving to be the best at something, it's like, well, what if just the robots are the best at those things? Does it still matter to you? Like, and then work, there's the whole work and having a job thing, and then there's the whole like, it's probably going to be a better parent than me, so does that mean I have a responsibility to kind of like hand over that baton? So, like, every day I feel this, but then I just go to work and
Yeah.
just like do the same thing. I just feel like it starts to feel like rearranging decks on the Titanic, and I just wonder if Grant was like carrying that for too long, and it just freaking built up
Which
way
is,
too much pressure, and he popped.
yeah,
and
that's the
yeah,
thing that happens, and I mean, we've had this in a couple of these stories now, where these guys just get obsessed with something, and there is just that moment. It's society just kind of breaks your brain if you really take
if you
too long with it, because it just breaks you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if you just really sit and ponder it for too long, especially if you're off in the woods around the things that you're killing all the time, like that's a nightmare. And of course you're gonna lose your mind.
yeah, and it's like we have to really emphasize like they're not cutting down a few trees; they're leveling entire forests, and part of this guy's job, as he, in his 20s and 30s, is he's the guy who goes out to these remote places, finds, and maps out where these huge machines can come in and destroy the forests. So he's kind of like the beginning of the end. That's what his job is. And the whole time this is weighing on him. And it's interesting because it's not just him. This isn't just like one sentimental logger. A lot of the loggers feel that way, but they're just like, well, what we need to eat. Like the destruction is terrible, but we need to eat. And so eventually, Hadwin, this guy, he is fed up with it, and so in 1983, that's where we're at. He quits his job at like this mainstream logging company, and he's like, I can. He wants to be employed while not completely gutting the forest, and that's his goal. So he takes on contractor work, and this is 4 years before he turns 38. There's a shift with him, and we don't know much about it. And we're going to talk more about it now because we learn about it more later in the book. But I want to talk about it now because I was pissed that it was kind of scattered. So he has this. He goes away for a few days in between jobs, and he comes back. And one of his coworkers describes him as he was a different person, like Jekyll and Hyde. His eyes look like they were not there anymore. It's one of the most shocking things I have ever seen in the forest industry. And the guy who's saying that is someone who's probably seen people killed and ripped apart. And he's saying this change in Grant Hadwin is one of the most extreme things he's ever seen.
yeah. So I mean, looking ahead to the script, like what happened?
That's a good question. What happened? And we kind of wonder that for a big part of the book. And the beauty of listening to this is we're just gonna kind of tell you. Um, we learned that Hadwin had this very unwanted and unlooked for spiritual vision while he was gone for those 4 days, and we only learned this because we found some of his writings later. Not we, but like local police trying to track him down on one of the times he was out wandering. They found this journal, and he says in his writings we learned that on this vision he met with the creator of everything, and the creator forgave him of his sins and told him it was his responsibility to carry a message back to the world, and this message is denouncing the destruction of nature for profit, bringing back a spiritual and ethical way of living. And we learned that part of his solution to this is to dismantle society, dismantle all religion, and then we remove all men from power and replace the status quo with agrarian villages run by women and restricted to pre-industrialist technology. That's his solution.
Which is somebody called Ted Kaczynski because somebody's stepping on your flow.
Yeah.
You know, it was very. And again, like Evan, you're saying, somebody's gonna have this psychotic break now with AI. Like this happens with every different form of industrialism that we create. Somebody somewhere just meets God or is enlightened somehow, and then they're like, "Oh, we got it!" And then eventually they do something horrible. And I don't. It's such a weird phenomenon because it happens all the time.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned Ted Kaczynski, which it's fascinating some of the parallels.
Super. It was that was the whole time. I
Yeah.
was like, this is Ted Kaczynski's best friend.
Yeah, and they said that, like, the cops, even when they found the manifesto, they put like a little note on the front that was like, this was a doozy, right? And they like read through it, and you expect from a manifesto that it's like, I'm gonna kill people and like they like down with the fat cats and whatever. But this one, like, it had that vibe, but then it like ends with like, oh, also, French Revolution. The problem was they were like, kill all the nobles, and then they did, and like nobody had a plan, and so they just
Yeah.
kept killing. And I feel like you see that a lot with like some of the other manifesto guys, where they're like, you know what, I'm just angry, I'm gonna take it out on people, but I don't necessarily have a great plan for what comes next. The interesting part that I think the police were like conflicted about is they were like, ooh, life after the dismantling of society actually sounds kind of like he had a plan, and most of the manifesto was a plan. Not as much like he didn't have a list of names or people he was going to kill. He was like, look, we just got to stop, and we could do it different. But
Yeah, it's very similar, but it's also very different.
Yeah.
And as I was reading this, I'm like, this is a guy in the '80s, early '90s when they found some of his writings. That's pretty extreme to be like, no religion, no men, only women. Like, it's a very, very interesting idea. It's not the worst idea in the world. Like, who knows? I'm not advocating
It
for it,
sounded good to me. I was
but
like, that all reads great.
but this is like he has been thinking about this, and so this is kind of what's ruminating in his mind. And then at this point in the book, and they just throw it in, like the author just throws it in like it's nothing. He's like, also, Grant had an older brother named Donald. And Donald was very much Grant's opposite. He wasn't like a wild boy. He was, very smart, very social. He wanted to be an engineer, just like their dad. And he goes off to college. And when he comes back from college, he's acting different. And he's diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And later on, at just 34, Donald jumps off a bridge and ends his life. And that's all we know about Donald. Like, they just throw that in. I
It's stuff like this that like made me super frustrated. I'm like, that just lock in on the shit that's interesting. This is a story about a guy who obviously has a mental breakdown, and you're just kind of like, boop, like it's just they're playing jazz, and I'm like, just tell me,
they
just
do play
go.
some jazz. Yeah, for the readers, I think like I don't know the exact page count, but I think I'm close. I think it's 70% trees, logging, native history, and honestly, of the 30%, like 15% of that is Grant Hadwin. So I think you're like halfway through the book before you even meet Grant Hadwin,
No,
right? You've been
I
I
through
don't
the
agree.
remember.
entire history of the logging industry and everything by that point, right?
Yeah, I remember being fascinated because I'm like, this book is we're far along and we have yet to meet this guy. And so
Yeah.
it goes fast. And so naturally I'm like, oh well, his brother had schizophrenia. This is what's happening to this guy. He's acting strange. But no, this happens to him at 38, and like schizophrenia is almost always diagnosed in early adulthood. So
But
he's
also, he spends all his time alone in the woods doing a violent act and then drinking his ass off. Want to know what that could probably mask?
yeah, no, you're right.
The hell are we doing?
But it's not as straight. It seems like he does. It,
But it's such an easy way. The reason that we don't know if he had schizophrenia is because he wasn't diagnosed. That's the only. He got away from the doctors real fast. Like,
no, you're right.
that's the stuff. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a mental health professional, but it's stuff like that where I'm like, I don't know
No,
where I'm
he's
going with that. That just bugged the shit out of me. I was like, he had obviously he has a mental disorder.
like
All of these things.
yeah, there's something going on, and it's not just that he has this vision and he wants to dismantle society, but like other aspects of his life are not going well. So after he has this vision, he separates from his wife and he kind of just starts traveling around by himself. Very kind of isolated guy. And this is where the book gets even weirder. And I had to reread some of these things. So he starts traveling around in a Honda Civic full of thousands and thousands of hypodermic needles and condoms. No one knows why. And when he's pulled over, he's like, I'm just advocating for safe sex. And then they just kind of gloss over that. What the hell is going on?
This is the shit that I'm talking about. we
Didn't
What's
it
going
start?
this I want use a fifth use a fifth of your interest in the goddamn seeds for my man. He's doing all this shit. We don't talk about it.
No, this like it's literally as it's just as I read it. That's the extent of it in the book. So he's traveling around. He goes to Russia for a bit. He's like I said, he's
Again.
physically
What?
what?
Why? Why was he in Russia? Does it say?
No, he was just
Oh,
kind
he's
of
just
bopping around. He was
all
probably
right.
just logging. You know, he can do physical jobs. He's just bopping around. He's spending a lot of time on his own. And eventually he becomes even more erratic. And at one point he's driving and he pisses off a truck driver in his little Honda Civic, and the truck driver follows him home. They get into like a confrontation, and Hadwin, gets a 2x4, knocks him in the head, knocks him out. And then, but immediately he helps him up. He calls the police. He's like, hey, just knock this guy out. And this is the first he's kind of had run-ins with the law. And so after that, he does a psych evaluation. They treat him, like maybe we should look into this guy, but there's nothing that indicates that he can't just keep living his weird life, bopping around in his Honda Civic, going wherever he wants. So they
Yes,
let him
there
out.
is. There is.
There's a
God
lot.
almighty. There's so many things. He's a raging alcoholic who assaults people. Like, what do we do?
But
What do you...
it was self-defense. You could very much argue that when he beat the guy and that the guy followed him home, it was self-defense. He tried to talk him down first, and then he completely admitted. But he's doing a lot of other weird stuff that isn't illegal, but damn it, it's weird. It's weird. And so that this is kind of the life he's living. He's taking these ice baths. He's readying himself for something, and he's kind of just traveling around. And around this time, he meets a native woman named Cora Gray, and she becomes one of his closest friends. And you think, oh, okay, it's this guy in his early 40s, probably someone around his age. No, she's in her 70s. That's fine. You can hang out with whoever you want, but it is just kind of interesting that she becomes like his best friend. And she's the one who ends up taking him to see the Golden Spruce for the first time. She's the one who introduces him to Hattagwai. I don't think he'd been there before. And while most people have this like profound spiritual experience when they saw this incredible tree that like Evan talked about, like does not happen, he just kind of saw a sick tree that was surrounded by destruction.
So in a way, this is Cora's fault, right? Like it's
Poor
like
Cora.
fireworks. If you have them, you got to be careful with them. You got to
Yeah.
take them anywhere. You have somebody as erratic as Grant Hadwin. I think just like let's steer clear of like monuments and rare things that can be destroyed, right?
Beautiful
Well,
things.
I wonder if in her mind she's like, "You're unique. let me show you something else unique. Maybe that will
He's like, I fucking
calm you
hate it. I
down.
hate this.
He's like, kill it now.
He's just like, he sees it and he's just like angry. Like, he's just like, this mutant, gross, ugly. Like, and it's just, we've just learned how beautiful this tree is. If you look at pictures, like, it's amazing. But now this one guy who's very environmentally conscious sees it. He's like, nah, this thing's ugly as hell. I hate it. And poor Cora Gray learns real quick that this guy's not as stable as she thought. Probably should have learned that quick, because we learned that he's like, he's just diving and taking baths in sub-zero lakes and just kind of bopping around doing all this weird stuff. And one day while they're
Heat
traveling,
dysregulation, that's a sign of mental disorder. Just want to point that out.
and the cover on the book is him popping out of the lake without a shirt, very jacked and ripped. But man, there's something not there. And it's sad. It's sad. So one day he's traveling with Cora, this beautiful, sweet 70-year-old native woman, and it's the middle of the night, and it's in freaking Canada. They're cold, and he goes on a bridge, and he just starts going, I don't freaking care, and he crashes on the bridge. And in the crash, he's fine. He cuts his lip, but Cora shatters her ankles, breaks her cheekbone, and is trying not to die. And so while Grant tries to help her, he's like trying to keep her warm, but he's also like, don't die. No one will care about me if you die. Don't die. Like, if you die, that's it. And it's just this really weird, just weird stuff keeps happening.
It's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's outside weird. Of the, like, reasonably expectable behavior. It's just, and that's what it is. I think he keeps doing things that are like, it's not necessarily illegal. It's just so weird. There's something
just bizarre
wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's so, man, like when you see somebody doing something they're not supposed to do, wherever they are, right? Like yelling in a Walmart, or like running or dancing or something. It's like, it's fine and it's cool in like movies, but like you're just like, what else could you do? And I just feel like I would feel that way all the time with Grant. It's like, you're wearing a belt made of condoms. What are you capable of right now?
I can't imagine how uncomfortable it must have been to be around this guy. Because like you said, he's not doing anything illegal. He doesn't seem necessarily dangerous, but you just gotta be like, your skin crawling every time you're around him. That's how it seems.
And it's that weird thing where like society does protect us because we don't experience stuff like that, but which is the illness really. But I mean, the fact that we're all just dosed up and we aren't like passionate about anything, or you're a psychopath
insane
who tries to try.
Man, are you happy? Actually, I don't think he was happy.
He didn't seem like a happy guy.
He wasn't happy.
But also, okay, so this is bugging me, and I just remembered it on you heard it live when I remembered that, like, the mental, like, irregular body temperature and mental health have like a direct correlation. So a lot of times what happens is that your irregular body temperature, when your body's too hot, that is directly associated a lot of times with mental illness. And I think that is one of the reasons he can just like go into these cold plunges and stuff. I think he's overheating and something's wrong with his mind. Like, he has something wrong with him. His body's overheating and he has to cool it down.
That's interesting, but what about Wim Hof, who is the guy who just is always in the cold, and he's the meditation teacher, Iceman.
But he's not
is he counteracting that?
He's not doing it to cool himself down, or like he's not running like, also we just know more about him. He's doing breath control and his is all about control.
Okay.
Whereas like a lot of times with mental disorders, you're just super hot all the time and you're like, why? You know what I mean?
That explains a lot of people in my family. I never heard that one.
My family is constantly complaining about how hot it is. I think
that AC is running.
A correlation here that's like,
that's not there, but it just popped in my head.
Sometimes
it is interesting.
You're insane. That's what.
No, it's not. No. I'm not saying if you get hot sometimes. I'm saying if you're just always like have a fever for no reason, it's cause
schizophrenia. That's the only.
They're not schizophrenia, but something's wrong.
Running 102, something's wrong.
You should That's fair. That's fair.
And you're like, I'm not sick, but I'm on fire.
That
something's up.
Yeah, and
If paired with, I will say, if paired with you think you are Jesus Christ and
Thank
you
you.
get hot a lot, there may be something going on.
Yeah,
Something's
and
up. But I'm just like I'm Monday morning quarterbacking this because they don't give us any
no,
information in the
they don't
book.
give us anything. They give us very little. So I appreciate the speculation. You know, they make it seem like
Yeah, thank you.
they make it seem like he's doing this to train for something, almost like he's trying to be in peak physical condition for something. But like you said,
Mhm.
we don't know what it is. We have no freaking idea what it is. We kind of learn later on what it might be.
Maybe. But
But
the book is not interested in it, and that was my issue.
absolutely not. It's not interested in it. It's interested in trees, which I love. But we have to talk about this guy, unfortunately. That's how I felt about it. No, it is interesting. Um, so while Kara, okay, we're getting into it. We're getting into like the intense part of the book. So while Kara's recovering, Grant Hadwin travels back to Haida Gwaii, where the Golden Spruce is, and he starts giving away all his possessions. And he befriends this young blonde girl who's working at a motel. And they start hanging out for a few days, and he starts sharing his ideology. And we haven't talked about this a lot, but one of the things he believed in was that like university trained people were the worst. And he says, this is a direct quote from him. He says, university trained people are an incestuous breed of insidious manipulators. He doesn't think very much of them, I guess.
I feel like
This
somebody served him one time and had a college degree, and he was like, "That's it. It's got to be the college."
I I hadn't thought about this, but he sounds like every asshole, like borderline Nazi that's running around the country now, taking all these ice baths, erratic behavior, thinks it's super overly religious or whatever about themselves, but hates like religions. This all this guy loves RFK. Like this
Uh,
is, you know what I mean? That's the kind of guy we're dealing with.
you're drawing some scary parallels. I don't like it. It's making me uncomfortable how accurate that is. But so we're back to Hattagwai. He's talking to this poor little girl who's like, I'm just trying to work at the motel, man. Like, do you need anything? Do you need towels? And he's just like, no, the only way to save the trees is through terrorism. He tells her that. He's also at this time wearing earplugs constantly because he says every sound feels like a direct insult to him.
Blow right past that, don't we? Let's just leave that one on the 1 yard line.
Like
Let's keep
the
running towards the goddamn tree.
the way the book talks about it, it's like whatever. That's like a normal thing to do. That's not a normal thing to do.
But it's
So this is the kind of state he's in, and he maybe he felt this like this for years. I don't know, but he also after he terrorizes, scares this little girl, he also goes and he buys a brand new chainsaw, a gas can, and falling wedges. And if you think you know where this is going, you probably know where it's going. So in the evening, he hikes to the Spruce, but one of the only ways to access the Spruce is to swim across a river. It's cold. You're in the northern hemisphere, very much northern Canada. He swims across the river. He puts all his equipment in bags, swims across the river, which is crazy in and of itself, and he starts to chop down the golden spruce. This freaking spiritual symbol to so many people, this anomaly, this one in a million. And this is the part that made me so effing mad. He doesn't fully chop it down. He just leaves it. He cuts it down like 90% so that it will fall the next time the wind blows. And I'm not like I believe that trees and plants are a lot more in tune than we think. Can you imagine just being chopped 90% of the way through and then just being like, okay, have fun hanging out until you die? Am I the only one
yeah.
who thought that?
Yeah,
It
that's bad.
seems
I mean,
so
you are,
cruel.
but it's funny because that directly relate. I was just thinking, I was like, you know what? I get mad about this book, but this book is written like any book where you learn all about the protagonist and everything about the history of the protagonist. You watch the protagonist grow and learn, and then the antagonist kind of just shows up, and you don't really spend a lot of time on it. You just kind of like, oh, like in Iron Man, you're just like, this is Tony Stark, this is where he's from, oh, and it's like, oh, Jeff Bridges is here. This is how this book reads. The hero of this book is the Golden Spruce, and
100%.
it's written that way.
And the hero of the book is the golden spruce. Like, that's a
Yeah.
valid argument. And
Yeah,
we have this complicated man who comes in and just just like kills it. He just kills it, and he does it in a very cruel way, I think. And so after he cuts it 90% and leaves, he goes back to the hotel. He gives his chainsaw away to someone who ends up getting pissed later because they start blaming him. But he gives away his stuff and he goes back to his motel and he just waits for this beautiful, majestic tree to fall. And it does.
I mean, he waits and he writes a letter to all the newspapers. He's like, "Hey, like, I cut down your tree. What are you gonna do about it?" And then they get it and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And then a day later, when the wind blows it down, they're like, "Oh, that's what he was talking about."
Oh, okay. No, and he, yeah, he completely admits to it, and he calls it, and he's mad at the destruction of the forest, which I totally get. And his whole point, kind of the reason he did it, is because he's like, we're out here destroying thousands and thousands of forests on a crazy scale, but someone sees one little tree that looks a little special and everyone gets upset. But we should care about the forest. I kind of get what he's saying. I don't know.
It's the Joker thing. It's
Joker
the
mentality.
Joker's like prison speech when he's like, "I blow up a truck full of soldiers. Nobody freaks out because everybody sees it coming." He's
Yeah.
like, anyways, kill one itsy bitsy whatever. I'm not gonna do. He's
Like
he's
some
like
lawyer or
everybody
whatever.
loses their minds, you know.
There you go. There it is. Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
Turning it down and
We watched the progressions. If you're listening to this, sorry you didn't get to see it, but I could see you fighting against committing to the bit,
And then you did it.
and then you did, and that's what we want. That's what the people want. But no, the Dark Knight is a tree in this situation, and Heath Ledger is a psychopath with a chainsaw. I
a
do,
lot of hypodermic needles.
and a shit ton of condoms and
And
a
we still don't know why.
70-year-old girlfriend.
We still don't know why, because no one ever elaborates on why
'Cause
he's running
nobody-
around advocating
nobody
for safe
cares.
sex.
Yeah. But one thing that, because we did this last time with American Kingpin, so I want to do it again, is to cast this movie. So as the tree, I think we got to go CGI. I don't think we're going to get a real tree.
You don't think there's an actor good enough to portray the tree?
I think Andy Serkis. Plus
Andy
motion
Serkis-
capture might have it, dude.
as the tree. He was great as Kong. I just watched that yesterday.
Oh my
But-
gosh, dude. That's
Great movie.
that's probably my favorite movie.
Okay, that's a good one.
Andrew, we'll talk about it later.
Adrian Brody, just weirdly being an action hero. But then I think that the person that should play our good friend Hadwin, I'm going Danny McBride. That's the vibe.
But he doesn't look like Danny
No.
McBride. He's like
I know he doesn't.
the complete opposite.
No, Danny gets
physically.
jacked. Danny gets just yoked. Okay, we put Danny on some trend and just have him shrink because he looks old enough. Because like people back in the day looked like they were in their 50s when they were like 30. You know,
Yeah, that's fair.
and all the drink. So it doesn't matter that he's older. We just get him jacked, and then we're in.
It's just too funny. It's just too
too
funny.
funny.
It's got to be sad.
It's got to be
I
a
feel
serious
like
actor.
Adrian Brody kind of works because I can't look at
Adrian
Adrian Brody without feeling weirdly sad somehow. I think it's his
Yeah.
face. He sort of looks sad.
He looks sad.
You know?
Now he's okay. We want to go really like full of Austin Butler.
I was gonna say Austin Butler.
Really?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so this movie we're casting Austin Butler. And this will be a new section where I just come up. I try to pitch. We cast the book. We should
Yes.
probably do it earlier, but I don't care because they don't. This book doesn't care about its characters other than the Golden Spruce, the hero.
Golden Spruce is the hero. So yeah, Austin Butler's a great pick. So after Hadwin kills the tree, as Evan says, he writes to all these people. He's like, "Hey, I did it. I killed your little pet tree." No one really knows. Like, a lot of this is just in his head because as far as who the tree belongs to, yeah, the logging companies did not destroy it for a lot of reasons. But it's the most important to the Haudahgwai, the native people, and so
And it probably makes money. I think that's the big thing.
Oh,
that
yeah,
I
it's-
kind of
it's
was
a
taking
tourist
because
attraction.
it's a tourist attraction. That was the biggest thing that I kind of. Did I say that directly? But it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I was like, I didn't just come up with that, but it's like the Joker speech. The only reason that we care about this tree is because it makes money somehow, as opposed to just valuing it, which I hate to say it, but like with any good villain, you kind of want to agree with him.
You're a little sympathetic to his point. Yeah, like I don't hate what he's I hate the way he went about it, but what he's saying makes sense. Kind of like we can't focus like we have to focus on the mass destruction instead of
Yeah.
the individual, which you could argue for sure. Um, but yeah, holy crap, it's a very spiritual thing to the Haudegui. Yeah, there's a Gold Spruce motel. This is the sad thing is this whole area, the Haudegui, who've been reduced down to nothing through colonization. We talked about they were like this warfaring people taking slaves. They're not like that anymore. Like most natives in pretty much anywhere, they've been reduced to very little. And the two things they got going for them in this area is the golden spruce, and there's also like an albino raven hanging out around the same location. And guess what happens to the albino raven a few days after the golden spruce?
Grant shoots it. Wait,
No,
no.
no.
What happens?
It like lands on a it lands
That's
on a
exactly
power.
what I thought too. I was like, he killed it? Of course they wouldn't put that in the book. Why would they? It's too
No,
interesting.
it like lands on a power line or something and explodes.
No, no.
so so like
God.
these so
Not
the
great.
these two icons that these people in this area have, they're both destroyed in like a matter of days. It's so sad.
It's funny to me. This is so random, and I don't. It doesn't mean anything. But I was watching the second Independence Day, but
That's rough. I'm sorry for you.
we watched the first one. And we were like, well, let's watch the second one. And Tiffany was right. We shouldn't have. But there's a part where Jeff Goldblum says they love to get the landmarks in his Jeff Goldblum way. I won't do an impression of him because I don't have one. I was gonna jump into it as I was talking, and I realized I don't have it. But Evan, you got one?
What does he say? Tell me what he
They
said.
love to get the landmarks.
They love to get the landmark. No, it went Trump.
Yeah. It
Cut
gets Trump.
Cut it. It never happened. I
Okay.
have a Jeff Goldblum, but
But
it takes
anyways,
some
to get
doing.
that one's it's a little work to get there. But
No,
he says
that
it.
was you tapped into it.
There's a little. I just gotta. It's playful.
love
You're
to
like
get
a
the
little sprite, and
a little jazzy mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing the words, and they taste good. But anyways, we'll cut all that. So, so in this movie, he says they love to get the landmarks, and I'm just thinking about it now, and I'm like, all terrorism is all about the landmarks.
Yeah.
Like that, it's all about symbolism, and it's so fascinating that like these people that obviously have something, like they're mentally ill, always go for like this symbol of what they don't like, what they hate, and it's across the board, no matter what religion, create like race, creed, they always go for some sort of landmark because they're going about the whole the ideology of it all, and it's I just that it again like the book. I think the issue, the only reason I had an issue with the book is because I'm obsessed with overthinking things because I have a high brain all the time, despite never smoking weed. And it like that just I just wanted to know. I just wanted to get to know him more because that is so weird that it just always comes down when people have these psychotic breaks and they have enough ability, it always comes down to destroying some sort of symbol to people.
Yeah.
And
And
we just never get to we know why he did it, but just like to explore it and kind of sit with it for a little bit longer. I just wanted that. I think I just wanted answers.
that makes sense. And the book doesn't give you answers at all, not even a little bit.
It gives us
Why
his
that way.
answer, which I guess is an answer.
It
But
gives us his answer, but like there's still so much more we don't know about this guy. So
and never
after,
will.
No, and never will. And let's get into why we never will, because he chops down the tree. He's like, "Yeah, it was me. Duh. Screw you, corporate piggies." Like not the corp, but he's blaming the people who are destroying the forest at a gross level. But the people who are most hurt are the natives, and they're like, "Hey, if we ever see this guy, like we'll nail his balls to the tree stump. We'll kill him." They're so mad, and so he gets arrested. He didn't kill anyone. Like it's a tree though. That's the sad thing. It's a tree. So he's held for a bit.
it's taking down the symbols. It's like my man Luigi, not my man,
Oh, he's your man.
but it's like Luigi. You kill. There's all these school shootings. No one says anything, and then he kills the CEO, and everybody's like, "We gotta stop him."
No, yeah, you're right. It's interesting. And so
It's
yeah,
fascinating.
he took down the symbol. He is arrested. he's let go, and he's supposed to appear in court at a different location, and he's
Yeah,
like,
but
I can't.
here's the
Please go,
problem. I'm
please,
sorry to cut you off, Kyle, but
please do.
he's like Luigi if the person he shot was like a
Not a
poor
person.
cancer patient that can't afford
Seriously,
medication. It's like it's such an
That's true. Sorry, I
insane way
shouldn't
to
put Luigi
say.
on that. Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
anyways, I know
it's a
we're kind of
tree.
like
It's
getting to
it's a
like what
harmless
happens here,
tree.
but it
Yeah,
caught.
I thought he's not like Luigi, but it's like it's that reaction that Luigi got where it's like I haven't seen like pretty horrible people get marched with full SWAT teams. I've never seen those pictures.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like there's these huge monsters that you just don't even you just find out one. I don't even know. I don't
Yeah,
want to get into
Luis
it because it's
Elizondo was handling those people
yeah.
Very
in
poorly.
Game 7.
But
No,
and it just but like you never see anything about it. But then this guy cuts down a tree and it's like he gets to be in a book.
yeah, no, I get I get your point. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair. um, um, yeah, it's interesting, and it's a pattern. Like, we see this happen again and again, as you're saying. And so, in order to avoid being killed, Hadwin's like, "Hey guys, it's February, it's cold, but I'm gonna kayak to my court date. I'm gonna go across the Hecate Strait, which is this large body of water, and that's how I'm gonna get to court, because otherwise I'll be killed." But he's clearly not afraid to die, because he also like calls the native community. He's like, "Hey, this is where I'll be in case you guys wanna kill me."
How does he have so much
Yeah,
agency to do all this stuff? Why are they letting him do that?
Seriously, he's just doing whatever he wants. And so the cops see him off. The cops see him go into the water, because they're like, okay, like, we
because
can't
they're there to
stop you.
stop him, but he's not doing anything illegal. They're like,
He's
"Hey, you
not.
shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea." And he's like, "No." And they're like, "Okay."
Yeah, because he's
Can't
not
they?
doing anything that illegal. It's so weird.
But
This
can't you arrest people? Don't they arrest the guys who like try to jump off? Like when they try to commit suicide, they arrest you
I
and they
think
hold
there's like
you.
a public endangerment type like
But he's not
thing.
endangering anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, they have an angle because they said they were ready. All they wanted him to say was hint in some way that he wasn't going to make his court date, because then they could arrest him. But he was like, "I'm gonna get there in 2 weeks because it's hundreds of miles." And he's like, "Okay, I mean, okay, whatever."
How? Oh my god! I hate to say it, but if he was black, he'd.
Wait, what? Wait, why?
They'd shoot him.
I see what you're saying. They would have
Well, and
just
that motherfucker get in the
Okay.
water. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
It was like a water thing.
They would have been
That's
like,
on
"You're
me.
not gonna kayak. We will
Evan-
be. You're. We'll drive you there."
Evan got racist, and he thinks black people can't kayak.
I was
But-
like, why? Because you can't. What are you saying, Mac? Come on.
No, no. I'm saying like they just let the. There's like, all right, go on your hundreds of miles kayak, you wanted criminal.
No, seriously, there's
It's
so much.
insane.
There's so much privilege for like being a straight white male in the '90s, where he just basically gets to do whatever the hell he wants. Like, he's they know he tore down the street. Like, they know he did it, but they're like, okay, just get in the water, have fun on your little swim. Like,
Yeah.
and so that's
We'll
what
see
he
you in
does.
2 weeks.
That's what he does. He goes, he gets in his kayak, and he paddles away. And the court date comes. A lot of people from the native community are there. Like, they want to see this guy brought to justice. He's done them wrong, and they're waiting. And guess who doesn't show up to court? Hadwin, the guy. He's just completely disappeared. He has completely disappeared, and in one of the in a location where it's so damn easy to disappear.
I mean, yeah, duh.
Egg on their face. They're like, oh man, I really thought he was gonna be here.
I thought
We trusted this criminal who's been roaming the countryside with needles and condoms, and obviously is crazy and wrote a manifesto. I don't know why we didn't. Why didn't we
Not
think
to
he would?
mention, the Hecate Strait is unnavigable, even for
Yes.
like tugboats. Like nobody goes in there, and so it's a kayak. Like I can't believe anybody showed up. Honestly,
Here's my thing. Do we think that everybody was so mad about it that they were like, yeah, why don't you kayak down there?
Probably.
Yeah,
I think that might be. Maybe we're being too harsh. I apologize.
I don't think we are. I think there were a lot of people who were like, "Yeah, go for it, go die, you stupid idiot!" Like,
I think
have
I
fun
think that
drowning,
was-
you dumb bitch. Like, I think a lot of people felt that way, and yeah, they're just like, go drown. Hope I mean ideally we could watch you drown, but at least you're drowning. That's how some people felt.
It's
As long
kind of a
as you're
way to
drowning.
like let him do it to himself. And then when he doesn't show up, they're like, "Oh, what? No way! He didn't make it through the unnavigable strait."
But here's the thing: is this guy was so capable. This guy also had a pattern of just like getting lost and people being like, "Hey, we haven't seen Hadwin for a few days. Can you go find him?" Like he was so equipped to survive something like this. So a lot of people think he's still alive. And there's pretty good reason to think that he's still alive. And he's just bouncing around the islands, um, just surviving,
They
doing whatever he
found
wants.
his kayak and some of his stuff, but there's no body recovered, right?
Yeah, and granted, this is if you want to hide a body, this is the place to do it. Um, but I feel like there would be more. I think he's
Any
alive.
resolution? I don't
Yeah,
think he's alive.
I
He's
think
dead.
yeah, I think he's alive. I think he's alive, bopping around somewhere. I mean, he might have died since then, but I think he survived the whole thing.
It is important to note, though, there's no finding out because he doesn't make it, and then they're like, "Well, maybe he's just still working on it, you know? Maybe he's like he's just running late, you know, ran into traffic." And his wife's like, "Oh, like he does this, he can survive anything, he never dies. So if he doesn't call on my daughter's birthday, then you got a problem." So they call her. They're like, "Birthday," and she's like, "I didn't call." And they're like, "Okay, we're gonna find this guy." And they're like, "Okay, well, there's." Where should we start? There's 1,000 islands in this. This is British Columbia, which is, I didn't know, the giantest place on planet Earth. It's so
Yeah.
humongous and nobody's there. And so they're like, okay, well, there's 8 million islands. So let's start on number one. And they're like, what'd you find on number one? And they're like, well, we found this hermit, this shipwrecked guy, kind of tall, white, lanky, nice build, looks like Paul Newman, born in the same year as Grant Hadwin. Wasn't him though. Legit guy that accidentally got shipwrecked, and he's
So,
been living on mussels. And he's like, "Please, God, I'm so hungry. I'm so glad you're here." And they're like, "Yeah, it wasn't him, but we did find this skull." And British Columbia is insane, so like bugs and birds pick off skeletons like in days, so it legit could be his skull. And they were like, "Nope, actually, ran the dental records, and this is just leftovers from some crimes against humanities that the colonists did, like within." Not that long ago, like maybe as early as the 70s. And like that's island number one. If he's alive, no one will ever find him. Ever.
See, here's my thing. I like to think that he got away, and then just a horrible tragedy befell him. Of like, he was like, "I could never die." Twists his ankle, falls in a hole. And he's like,
He's
"Oh
Meryl
no!"
Streep at the end of Don't Look Up, where they get to the planet and she just gets eaten
oh
immediately.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like a Kodiak bear just was like, "Oh, this tall hunk of meat,"
I can see that.
and then
If
he's
you
And
gone.
watch the Grizzly Man footage really close, you actually can tell that it's Grant Hadwin eating the Grizzly Man. So,
Yeah, it's great. He actually became one with a bear colony.
yeah.
proud of him. Proud of him. Not an easy thing to do.
So these
Um,
are our pitches for what happened.
so that's what we think happened. Yeah, I mean, I at this point he's got to be dead because like,
Yeah.
but I think I like to think I don't know why, I like to think he survived the initial thing, but there's just no way anyone's gonna find him. And also, like they weren't that motivated. They're like, well, do we want to spend thousands of dollars and all these man hours to find a guy who, like, let's be real, he chopped down a tree. He's not wanted for murder. He's not a rapist. He like we're just not going to look that hard. It kind of gave the impression they're like, we're just not going to risk our lives to find this guy, and so he's just kind of out there.
And he ran for president twice, probably.
I think
Maybe.
so.
I wouldn't be
Amazing.
surprised.
Oh
Amazing.
man, we don't know what happened to our main character, the Golden Spruce.
Yeah.
So the Golden Spruce, we know what happened to the side character, Mr. Hadwin. Um, so the spruce, after it fell, a lot of people took grafts from it, and they took samples and they tried to recreate it, and it was hard. But it became a nurse log, and what a nurse log is it basically functions as a way for young trees to grow, and it helps nourish them in a way that sometimes the ground can't do. So in a beautiful way, it started giving life to all these other trees. in just this awesome cycle. And so that's kind of where it is. It just kind of fell. They didn't take it out. They took parts of it. Some people have tried really hard to recreate it based on the samples they've taken. You can even buy one of those samples. It's expensive, and they tell you not to try to buy it because it's hard to grow. But you can buy something that was a product of the golden spruce at one point and try to grow your own spruce. It's never going to look like the original because that thing is one in a gajillion. Um, but it lives on in a really beautiful way, and that's the awesome thing about trees and nature is they always live on in some way. And so a tree of this magnitude is always going to have some sort of legacy, and that's kind of how we close, is that the tree is helping other trees grow. Not much has changed in the logging industry, unfortunately, but life goes on.
And the way that you ended that telling is how that book ends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, that's the thing about the book, because it's kind of like, oh yeah, and it does,
Yeah.
it just ends with there's not, the nurse log thing is cool. Maybe I'm just hating because I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I think when you read a book about a tree, you're expecting a lot of tree. But when the book is also called The Golden Spruce, A True Story of Myth, Madness, and Greed, I think you want a little bit more of myth, madness, and greed, or at least 50-50. So I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
'Cause it-
I'm just reevaluating myself like during the podcast. I probably should just chill out, and I think I've been negative, and I should have enjoyed the experience of the
Journey.
tree and
no,
the.
I don't know. I appreciate that. Like, it's not everyone's thing. It's not everyone's thing, and that's the beauty of this podcast. Is you might choose a book that I hate, and I get to read it anyway, and that's the way of the world. And so yeah, this book honestly it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be. I was like geared up. I'm like, hell yeah, let's read about some trees and maybe a little bit of some kooky stuff. But it just felt scattered. It felt all over the place. And so writing the little script that I wrote, it was kind of like putting pieces of a puzzle together and trying to make it coherent. It just felt scattered to me, the narrative. And I'm not trying to shit on the author because he's doing something I could never do. And there wasn't a lot to go off with Grant Hadwin because he was like such a mysterious guy, but it just kind of felt scattered to me. But I appreciate the message, I think, is my takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking now. Is I'm like, you know what? I've been shitting on this. It it's a beautiful story. Like, when you think about what the tree is, it's beautiful. I just didn't enjoy reading this book, and it's the author's fault. But I, like, respect the author for the work that he did, because this, like, doing the research and stuff for this, I understand getting lost in the mysticism of nature, and I think I just came in the wrong place, I guess, of like, gotta get this book done, and then something interesting happened, and I was like, why is this not more of the interesting thing? And I do kind of regret that now that we've done this.
It is killing McKylan how moved he is in this moment.
It's just annoying because I think I kind of just felt good about hating it. And now I feel bad about that feeling.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is this guy's his first book, this author, and like I said, I've heard good things about his other books. I'll read more of his books, no doubt. But just like our first episode of the podcast, if you listen to it, it's probably just a little shittier than the rest of them. And he's trying and he's doing his best. And do I think you should read the book? I think if you like trees, read the book. If you're not that into trees, you probably won't like the book. That's my opinion.
If you have a tree kink, there's a couple chapters that are gonna get you all nice and hot and bothered. There's the lumberjack portion. I was like, feel like this is an unnecessary amount of like the word penetrate. You know what I mean?
Penetrate was used a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're into lumberjacks, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But if you're into lumberjacks and crazy lumberjacks, if that's your kink, then man, this is the book.
You're gonna be
It's
excited.
right up your alley. Yeah.
Just to kind of round out here with my thoughts, I hated this book. I hated it.
Really? I'm so glad you're saying it as you are.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say I hate it so much, but I don't think it's bad, and I kind of am glad that I read it. I wouldn't recommend it, and I'm never going to read it again. And every time I see it on my bookshelf, I'm going to feel sad. And I kind of feel like that's a case that it's a good book. It's just I hate it because it's such a sad story. It's so senseless. The plot of this book, and it's like, getting close to 300 pages. What happens in it is a crazy guy chops down a priceless, like timeless, incredibly rare tree and then disappears. That's what happens. And we take 300 pages to talk about like the log. Yeah, McKyllen's over here complaining that they keep like glossing over things. I'm like, the story is one chapter of the book, and the rest of
Yeah.
the time we're talking about backstory, the logging industry, the history of the people. I feel like it's unique in that way that it's like not much is going to happen here, but we're going to go very deep into it, and I did appreciate that. I just wish I don't wish this. I would like to read another book like it where something inspiring happens. It's a unique book because it's a in-depth, like very very detailed account of a sad thing that makes no sense to me. Like he loved trees so much and he hated the logging industry and he cut down the most beautiful, irreplicable creature in the botanical kingdom, and it's so tragic to me that happened. It doesn't make sense when like knowing that it happened. It doesn't make me hate the logging industry. It makes me like wish he'd not been there, right? And just maybe got some help, or I don't know. It's like, and yeah, I'm already like on a rant here. So the other thing that is hard for me about this is schizophrenia or no, or like, spiritual experience that came upon him or whatever you want to say is wrong with him. I just feel like end of the day, I think his reality just looked different, and I think he knew it was problematic. He strikes me as a guy that knows that it was problematic, but like couldn't help but like see things the way he did. He saw uh, threat in every person. Every sound was a threat to him, and I just don't think there was any convincing himself that everything was okay. And he just finally popped, and he just had like a crash out of dramatic proportions that happened to just like the golden spruce caught a stray. And so I think it says something about like the potential of like a human life. I think it says something about psychosis. So in short, I love this book. I love it. It's a masterpiece, and I just don't want to think about it anymore.
But it's not a feel good read.
Yeah.
It's and I like what you're saying, and I hated it as well. But and I think I get worried about saying I hate a book because I don't want to like offend the author. Because I mean, I write scripts or whatever, and I feel like I would feel really sad if somebody said they hated what I wrote. So I get overly sensitive to that. I just hate this story, and I hate every person in it, and I hate logging. Like it's one of those things where like you think because of the spiritual nature of trees, you think this is what just happened to me. I listened to the nurse log thing right at the end, and I'm like, oh man, why am I so mad? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm mad because this book is about fucking corporate greed and like egotistical psychopaths and like the destruction of humanity. Fuck this story.
I
Yeah.
thank you. These are all valid, and we appreciate. We don't always read books that we'll all like because that would be boring, and sometimes books just suck despite people's best efforts. I don't feel that that was this book. If you want a book that's like a good, happy book about trees, read The Secret Life of Trees. That will make you feel uplifted. Don't read this one. This is like The Secret Life of Trees meets, I don't know, Satan or something. I don't know. It's
It all
dark.
comes back around.
It all comes back around. But despite our differing opinions, we're grateful for the author, and we're grateful for anyone who's listening. We're just guys who like reading books and then trying to interpret them to you, and so we're very grateful. And there's got to be more to say. I wonder, does anyone else have more thoughts on this book, or are we just ready to be done with it?
I think
If you
let's
like reading books and you like anything about what we've said, go ahead, read it. I don't give a shit.
Good. Yes. I couldn't have said it better. My God. Okay. Amazing. Do email us though. We got a very long book list and we're gonna get right through it. But if there's an amazing book, or quite frankly, if there's like a bad book or a funny book, feel free to send it in. bibliafools@gmail.com.
You can leave now.